Integration question that also requires you to have a good knowledge of trigonometry. So we've got sine half x equals -2. We've got limits a and 2 pi, and we've got some values here for between which a exists. So first of all, I'm going to integrate this. Now sine integrates to minus cosine, so it's minus cosine half x. Now that half x, that half in there, gets dealt with by dividing all this by half, which is equivalent of times in by 2. So I end up, when I integrate, getting this. I put the values of a in, I put the values of 2 pi in, and it equals -2. Now this -2 and this -2, they can just be cancelled out. So basically I've got cosine a half of a, so a over 2, take away cosine half of 2 pi becomes pi. And remember I said I was going to divide this by -2 and this one by -2, so it becomes 1. Now cosine pi, this thing in here, becomes -1. If you think about the cosine graph, and I always try and have a mental picture of this. This is at 0 and it's at 1, pi over 2. This point here, the bottom point, is at pi, 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi, and this is at -1. So pi and -1, this is going to give me -1, and the -1 there is going to give me +1. So cosine a over 2 plus 1 equals 1. So if I take this from both sides, I'm really looking for cosine a over 2 equals 0. Now going back to this graph, where does it equal 0? It's at pi over 2. So this thing here needs to be pi over 2. This is the confusing bit with trigonometry. That a divided by 2 is pi over 2. But also there's another one here at 3 pi over 2. And actually there's another one, if I carry the graph on round, at 5 pi over 2. Now a is over 2, all these are over 2, so let's just simplify that by saying that a could be pi, by timesing that by 2, not within the limits. A could be 3 pi, and that's in the limits, and 5 pi is not within the limits. So at the very end, the only one that actually works and is within the limits is a equals 3 pi. So this question, although it's about integration, the integration is quite straightforward, and it really ends up being a challenge to your knowledge of trigonometry.